11. The Haunted House on Froshow Avenue. Vengeance, spirits, and terrifying mysteries. Tucked away in a secluded alley in the Pigalle district, Froshow Avenue is a mysterious street in Paris, where the serene beauty of the old villas cannot conceal the dark shadows of the past. Surrounded by tall fences and elegant mansions, this street was once home to many famous artists in the 19th century. However, behind the peaceful facade lies an unforgettable, chilling story. At Villa Number 1, a horrific murder took place in the early 20th century, and since then, the soul of the unfortunate maid has never found peace, haunting the house for decades. On a dark night in the early 1900s, a beautiful maid was brutally murdered in Villa Number 1 on Froshow Avenue. Sources suggest that she was the victim of a savage killing, and her death left a dark mark on the history of the house. Since that night, the maid's spirit has been unable to move on, lingering around the villa like a dark ghost. Every night, strange sounds such as moaning and eerie footsteps can be heard coming from the abandoned house, sending chills down the spine of anyone who dares approach. Legend has it that after the murder, all subsequent owners of the house were plagued by bizarre occurrences. The owners were haunted by terrifying noises and nightmarish visions. One notable example is singer Sylvie Vartan, who refused to move into the house after purchasing it, despite having no clear reason for her decision. Numerous mysterious deaths followed, leading many to believe that the villa was cursed. Since the gruesome incident, Villa Number 1 on Froshow Avenue has become a place deeply haunted by restless spirits. The atmosphere around the house is perpetually shrouded in a strange, gloomy aura, as if the place is cursed and trapped by the terrifying ghosts that dwell there. On silent nights, the cold wind creeping through the old windows produces eerie sounds that resemble ghostly laughter, echoing through the dark, oppressive space. The old wooden doors, now weathered and creaky, groan whenever the wind blows, as if the house itself is sighing in agony, yearning to escape the unseen horrors of its past. Especially on late nights, when darkness envelops the street, the faint light from the villa's windows shines through, but no one is inside. Sometimes through the foggy glass, those brave enough to approach can see glowing eyes, casting a chilling light in the dark hallway. These are the eyes of the ill-fated maid, still lingering in the house like a ghost seeking vengeance, searching for anyone foolish enough to enter her domain. Heavy footsteps echo through the dark corridors, adding to the weight and fear of the air. These are not the steps of the living, but of wandering souls, shackled in the afterlife, tormenting anyone who dares trespass on their space. Some have felt the bone-chilling cold of the wind creeping through the cracks in the door, as though the spirit's icy breath is wrapping around them, making them feel as if hundreds of unseen eyes are watching from the darkness. The scene grows even more unnerving as shadowy figures dart past in the corners, moving so quickly that you can't be sure of what you saw, but just enough to make your heart stop. These ghosts seem unwilling to leave, clinging to the place with an endless sadness and anger, and no one can escape their haunting presence. 12. Versailles Palace. Lingering spirits and mysterious phenomena. Versailles Palace, one of the greatest masterpieces of the world, is not only a symbol of the power and grandeur of the French monarchy, but also a place filled with strange and chilling mysteries. Located just 12 miles from central Paris, this magnificent palace, along with its vast royal gardens, attracts visitors not only with its majestic beauty but also with inexplicable paranormal phenomena. Every step through the gilded halls of Versailles, every wander through the tranquil gardens, can transport you to a space of the past, where the spirits of historical figures, particularly those of the royal class, are said to linger, unable to leave. One of the most famous ghost stories at Versailles is that of Queen Marie Antoinette, who was tried and executed during the French Revolution. According to legend, her ghost frequently appears in the areas surrounding the palace, especially in the royal gardens, where she once strolled gracefully before her dark fate befell her. Reports from visitors and locals tell of seeing a headless figure, dressed in 18th century clothing, wandering the garden on misty nights, with a confused expression as if searching for something lost. The dim, eerie light from the garden's lanterns only adds to the mystery and fear surrounding this apparition. In addition to the Queen's ghost, there are rumors that some visitors find themselves caught in a time travel experience when they step into the palace. Suddenly, they find themselves transported not to the present, but to an 18th century grand ball, where ghosts in period attire mingle among the revelers. Classical music, laughter, and ghostly images seem to freeze time, lingering within the walls and halls of Versailles, as if the past refuses to let go. Versailles Palace is not only known for its ghosts and eerie tales, but also for strange phenomena that remain unexplained. Many visitors have reported seeing eerie shadows appear in photographs taken within the palace and gardens. Sometimes bright orbs, indistinct figures, and shadowy shapes glide across the camera lens, as if watching those who dare to get close. On some nights, in the stillness of the garden, visitors hear strange footsteps, whispers without a source, as if someone is watching them from afar. Another mysterious phenomenon is the sudden drop in temperature, where visitors walking through the palace experience a bone-chilling cold, even though the weather outside remains warm. Cold gusts of wind sweep through the empty corridors, creating a sensation that is hard to describe, as if some invisible force is following them, never having left. Some people have even recalled feeling drawn to an old door, stepping into empty rooms adorned with statues and historical paintings from centuries ago, as though entering a different world where the spirits still quietly exist. The dim atmosphere of Versailles Palace always carries a strange aura, making anyone who steps inside feel as if they've wandered into a different dimension, where the lines between past and present are blurred. The stories of Queen Marie Antoinette's ghost and the bizarre phenomena only enhance the eerie allure of the place, making Versailles not just a tourist destination, but a site filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. 13th, Landru Villa, where the souls of the victims still haunt. In the small, quiet town of Gambais, in the Yvelines province not far from Paris, stands an old villa that has become a symbol of a horrific crime. This is the place where the gruesome murders committed by the notorious serial killer Henri Landru took place. Landru Villa is not only famous for its dark history, but also for harboring the indelible traces of crimes that can never be forgotten. Landru Villa was the residence of Henri Landru, a skilled con artist who specialized in selling secondhand furniture and artwork. But behind his polished exterior, Landru was a cold-blooded predator, targeting lonely, wealthy women, especially widows in the aftermath of World War I. The name Bluebeard, which he was given, was not without reason. Much like the character in the fairy tale, Landru deceived and robbed his victims before ending their lives. From December 1915 to January 1919, he murdered 7 out of 11 victims in this very villa, then disposed of their bodies by burning them in the furnace. Over time, this villa became a symbol of ghastly crimes, sending chills down the spine of anyone who hears the tale. In 1922, after Henri Landru was arrested and executed, the villa quickly became a site of curiosity for many. Although it has since become a private estate, it has never been free from eerie rumors about hauntings and the presence of the victims' spirits. People say that on stormy nights, if you stand near the villa, you might hear strange sounds emanating from within. Labored breathing, hurried footsteps, and faint, ominous whispers. Moreover, some are convinced they've seen shadowy figures appearing in the upper floor windows, with the sorrowful faces of the women who perished there. At night, the atmosphere surrounding the villa often becomes thick, unbearably cold, as if the very air is weighted down. The wind howls through the broken windows, creating eerie, shrill noises. Strange sounds come from the basement, like something being dragged across the floor, especially on dark nights when the faint glow of streetlights is not enough to push back the shadows. You might sense an invisible presence, with bright eyes watching you from the darkness. One of the most terrifying phenomena is the appearance of the ghosts of Landru's victims. Shadowy figures, faceless and silent, are said to walk the long corridors of the villa, especially near the furnace area, where Landru disposed of his victims' bodies. Some claim they've seen the ghostly apparitions of women in old-fashioned dresses, walking around the villa's back garden at night. This sight is often accompanied by an intense, bone-chilling cold, as if something haunting cannot be shaken off. Though abandoned for a time, Landru Villa still attracts many tourists each year, not only for its gruesome criminal history, but also for the bizarre phenomena that continue to occur there. Some believe that Landru and his victims still linger in this villa, unable to find peace. Are the restless souls still haunting Landru Villa, waiting for those daring enough to confront its dark past? If you've ever visited this place, share your thoughts in the comments below. 14th, Mortimer Abbey, where the past and souls intertwine. In the dense forests of Lyon-le-Forêt, in the serene land of Les Sourds, Mortimer Abbey stands as one of the oldest and most mysterious locations in France. This abbey not only bears witness to the ups and downs of history, but also to many strange occurrences, making it one of the most haunted abbeys in the country. Built in the 12th century, Mortimer Abbey once served as a powerful religious center, but its eerie stories have turned it into a place where many believe the souls of the past still wander. The terrifying tale begins in the medieval period, when the future Empress Matilda, daughter of King Henry I, was forced to hide in a room within this abbey for 5 years. The reasons behind Matilda's imprisonment are unclear, but after her death in Rouen, strange events began to unfold at the abbey. It is said that the ghost of Matilda, known as the White Lady, returned to haunt the place where she was once confined. From that time on, those who visited the abbey on stormy nights could feel a strange, cold, and ominous presence, as if invisible eyes were watching them from the darkness. In the 18th century, Mortimer Abbey sank once more into tragedy when 4 monks were murdered during the French Revolution. The spirits of these monks, filled with pain and resentment, could not rest and were said to haunt the abbey. People recount hearing heavy footsteps and faint whispers, as if the monks were talking in the dark. Particularly, many have witnessed the strange sight of shadowy figures, cloaked in black, slowly wandering among the ruins of the abbey, like the ghosts of the past unable to leave. The stories of the White Lady and the murdered monks have been passed down through generations, making Mortimer Abbey not only a historical landmark, but also an essential destination for those exploring the mysteries of France. As night falls, the atmosphere in Mortimer Abbey shifts in strange ways. The ancient walls, where time seems to stand still, begin to whisper eerie words carried on the wind. Cracks and worn marks on the walls, once forgotten, seem to twitch and creak, as if someone were scratching from within. The rotting beams, now collapsing into ruins, groan and seem to beckon someone into the abbey's darkened depths. The air inside becomes suffocating, heavy, as if a dense fog wraps itself around everything, making each step feel increasingly burdensome. Along the crumbling corridors, the rough walls no longer hold strong, creating a bizarre sensation, as if they might collapse at any moment. The dim light from faint lanterns struggles to dispel the pervasive chill. And in the silence of the dead of night, you might hear strange sounds, whispers carried on the wind, like dry prayers, heightening the sense of dread within. As you walk through the dilapidated areas, many visitors report seeing faint lights flickering, but when they draw closer, the lights suddenly vanish, leaving behind ghostly ethereal figures wandering in space like souls unable to move on. These ghosts seem to shift back and forth, appearing and disappearing in the mist, leaving behind a sense of mystery and horror. You can never be sure whether these are the spirits of the lost souls trapped in the past, or mere illusions of the mind. But it is clear that Mortimer Abbey is not just a site of historical ruins. It is a place haunted by an eerie presence, one that you cannot escape once you step inside. Each time the light flashes in the darkness, these spirits appear in brief moments, quickly fading into the dark, leaving behind the sensation that unseen eyes are watching, pulling you into another world where the past and present blur. In those moments, the air becomes even more stifling, as though you are surrounded by souls that can never find peace. 15. The blood-soaked house of St. Quentin, a mystery and souls that cannot rest. Located in the working-class district of Saint-Quentin, in the Aisne department of Hauts-de-France, the blood-soaked house of Saint-Quentin has become the center of some of the most bizarre and terrifying stories in France. In the late 1980s, a newlywed couple decided to buy this seemingly peaceful and modest house, only for it to quickly become the site of inexplicable phenomena. Just 1 month after moving in, the house began to come alive, with strange sounds emanating from the basement. The unexplainable noises grew increasingly distinct: the clatter of pots and pans, the screech of chalk on a blackboard, groaning, and even screams of agony coming from somewhere in the darkness. At first, the couple thought these noises might be coming from the neighbors, but it didn't take long before things escalated. One day, the wife discovered a red liquid dripping from the kitchen wall. Over time, inexplicable bloodstains began to appear, and no one could understand where they came from. As the bizarre occurrences intensified, the homeowners called the police to investigate. Upon examination, they discovered that the liquid was indeed human blood. Terrified by the increasingly strange events, the family invited a psychic and a priest to perform an exorcism. However, despite their efforts, the eerie occurrences never ceased. In the end, the family decided to sell the house, but no one dared to buy it. Eventually, the house was demolished to make way for a new home. But the story of the blood-soaked house did not end there. During the demolition of the old house, while excavating the rubble, workers uncovered the remains of not one, but about 50 German soldiers who had died during World War I. This horrific discovery was shocking, as these men had not been properly buried, but had been buried beneath the house. It was known that during the war, the area had served as a resting place for soldiers, where they faced death mercilessly and were never allowed to rest. Since the demolition of the house, stories of strange occurrences in Saint-Quentin continue to circulate. Many people living nearby report hearing eerie sounds at night, groans of pain as if from souls unable to rest. Shadowy figures have sometimes been seen around the area where the house once stood, silently gliding through the darkness as if waiting for their release. Especially on stormy nights, some people have reported feeling a cold draft sweeping through, like an invisible hand touching their skin, sending chills down their spine. Those passing through the area describe a heavy, gloomy atmosphere, as though stepping into a space where the souls trapped in the past still linger. In particular, some local residents claim to have seen ghostly figures of soldiers, dressed in ancient military uniforms, appearing through the night mist, silently moving as if they were restless souls searching for eternal peace. These phenomena become even more terrifying when combined with strange noises, creating a haunting picture that sends shivers down anyone's spine. The blood-soaked house of Saint-Quentin has become a chilling tale, not only because of the eerie events it witnessed, but also due to the souls that cannot rest, seeking a way to escape the suffering of the past. Although the house no longer exists, its stories and ghosts remain an unforgettable part of Saint-Quentin. 16. Camargue Castle. The mystery of love and the wandering ghost horse, nestled in the heart of Lazy, Dordogne, Camargue Castle, with its ruined watchtower and stone walls, stands as a vivid witness to the 12th century in France. Built as a sturdy fortress during the medieval period, Château de Camargue not only left its mark on the 100 Years' War, but also became the center of a tragic and haunting love story. Having withstood fierce battles, the castle also witnessed a love tragedy akin to Romeo and Juliet. But the ending here was not peaceful, but rather a tragic death. During a time of intense conflict between the Count of Camargue and the Baron of Baynac, the son of the rival family fell in love with the Count's daughter. This love affair was vehemently opposed by her father, as the marriage would jeopardize his power and control over his territories. Furious at the relationship, the Count imprisoned the young man in the castle's dungeon and eventually ordered his execution. The young man's tragic death not only ended a love story, but also cast a dark curse over Camargue Castle. Legend has it that right after the young man's death, his beloved horse became a ghostly wanderer throughout the castle. Every full moon it is said that the ghost horse of the young man still appears, roaming the ruins of the fortress like a soul unable to rest, searching for its lost master. With fiery eyes and an eerie gait, the horse silently prowls the night, tormented by the pain of a love that could never be fulfilled. The phantom horse is sometimes seen unexpectedly among the crumbling walls, its hooves clattering on the stone in the stillness of the air. Those who have dared to look upon this ghostly creature report strange and inexplicable deaths after encountering it. Whether through sudden accidents or mysterious disappearances, anyone who encounters the ghost horse seems to fall victim to an unavoidable curse, as if a dark spell has been cast upon those who dare enter the realm of its wandering soul. Visitors to the castle often feel a heavy, oppressive atmosphere, as if time cannot erase the sorrow and pain of the souls trapped within its ruins. Especially on full moon nights, when the moonlight pours through the gaps in the watchtower and the broken walls, some visitors have heard strange sounds, like the distant echo of hooves. Furthermore, there are reports from visitors who claim to feel an invisible presence watching them, accompanied by a cold wind that suddenly sweeps past, sending chills down their spine, as if a hidden spirit is standing close by. Some have even told of seeing the spectral figure of a white horse gliding swiftly through the stone walls, moving like a shadow, only to disappear back into the night, leaving behind a chilling and suffocating feeling. Those fortunate enough to survive the strange deaths after encountering the ghostly horse never forget the feeling of being watched, haunted by its fiery gaze and the sound of hooves echoing in their dreams. Château de Camargue, with its mysterious legends and unexplainable ghostly phenomena, remains one of the most eerie destinations, forcing every visitor to confront unanswered questions about the souls still trapped in this world. 17th, St. Denis Cathedral, the mystery of royal souls and the haunting legend. Located in Saint-Denis, just outside the center of Paris, Saint-Denis Cathedral is one of the most haunted places in the capital, with a history that is both mysterious and filled with sorrow. Not only is the cathedral famous for its stunning Gothic architecture, but it also serves as the burial site for many of France's kings, queens, and royalty. Yet behind the grandeur of this sacred structure lie strange and eerie stories that leave any visitor feeling the heavy presence of restless souls that still inhabit this place. The cathedral is known as the burial ground for 43 kings, 32 queens, and dozens of their servants, creating an atmosphere thick with the supernatural. Although during the French Revolution, many tombs were desecrated, and the remains of royalty were discarded into mass graves, after the monarchy was restored, efforts were made to recover and reburied the remains within Saint-Denis Cathedral. Since then, the cathedral has become both a sacred site and a place of eerie fascination, its air heavy with the violent and painful past it witnessed. To understand the haunting of Saint-Denis Cathedral, one must first consider the story of its namesake, Saint Denis, the first bishop of Paris. In the year 250 AD, Denis, a bishop sent from Italy, arrived in Paris to preach the Christian faith. At the time, paganism still held strong, and the Roman authorities, then ruling over Lutetia, modern Paris, saw the new belief as a threat. They ordered the execution of Denis and his companions by beheading. However, according to legend, after being decapitated, Denis miraculously picked up his own head, held it under his arm, and began walking across the countryside toward the site where he wished to be buried. His strange journey lasted for about 6 kilometers until he reached a desolate spot. Here he handed his head to a young woman before collapsing and dying. It was at this spot that a tomb was built in honor of the saint. Eventually, a magnificent basilica was constructed to commemorate and honor his unwavering faith. Despite the passing of centuries, Saint-Denis Cathedral remains a place where restless souls cannot find peace. Each step inside the cathedral is accompanied by an eerie coldness, and the air feels thick, as though invisible eyes are watching every move. Many visitors have described an unsettling feeling, as if the statues and royal spirits are observing them, and some even report the presence of an unseen force when standing near the ancient tombs. Some have claimed to hear faint whispers, as if someone is softly muttering prayers from the cathedral's ancient walls. These sounds seem to emanate from the trapped souls, unable to move on, particularly at night when the cathedral is silent. There have been reports of shadowy, translucent figures passing between statues and tombs, as if the souls of kings and queens long departed are returning to their final resting place. There are also those who have felt a suffocating, oppressive force, as though an invisible power is pulling them closer to the tombs, as if they are being drawn into a loop of violent and painful history. Those brave enough to wander through the cathedral's quieter sections sometimes report sudden, chilling gusts of wind and a strange presence, making the space feel even more suffocating. With its mystical stories and the restless royal souls, Saint-Denis Cathedral is not only a witness to history, but also a haunted house, where the bloody past continues to haunt all who dare to enter. 18. Blandy-Latour Castle, the haunting mystery and the trapped souls. Amidst the vast fields of Seine-et-Marne, Blandy-Latour Castle stands not only as a beautiful example of Renaissance architecture, but also as one of the most notorious haunted sites in France. Once a formidable fortress in the 12th century, the castle has witnessed countless battles and historical events. Yet few are aware that behind its solid walls lies a bloody tale and restless spirits waiting to reveal the terrifying truth of this place. Especially on All Saints' Day, Blandy-Latour Castle becomes the site of strange occurrences that the locals dare not approach. The most terrifying story linked to Blandy-Latour Castle dates back to the 10th century, when it was the stronghold of a notorious lord. It is said that this lord was not only infamous for his brutality in war, but also for his brutal killings within the castle's walls. He would kill the weak, driven by an insatiable thirst for blood. One night, as he prepared for yet another massacre, he was assassinated by one of his own victims. His ghost was never allowed to rest, and it continues to haunt the dark corridors of the castle, wielding a dagger and attacking anyone who crosses its path, seeking vengeance for the atrocities committed. Moreover, on All Saints' Day, when the souls linger on earth, it is said that the castle walls become alive with the supernatural. Dozens of trapped souls, unable to move on, prowl in the darkness. Whenever the wind howls through the windows, one can hear the sound of chains dragging across the floor, mingled with the anguished cries, as if the imprisoned souls are constantly pleading for release. When night falls upon Blandy-Latour Castle, the atmosphere is swallowed by an eerie coldness that chills the very bones. It is not the ordinary cold, but a dense, suffocating chill, as if hundreds of trapped souls are enveloping the space, draining all warmth from the living around them. Those brave enough to enter the castle at night often recount feeling a suffocating pressure, as if the very air has become too thick to breathe. In the long, decaying hallways of the castle, visitors frequently hear footsteps echoing through the silence. These are not the sounds of a living person, but heavy, silent footsteps, as though someone is dragging chains from the other side. The sound reverberates in the darkness, drawing closer with each passing moment. But when one turns around, the only thing visible is the thick, impenetrable blackness, as if the sound belongs to an invisible force watching your every move. What's even more terrifying are the shadowy figures that appear and disappear within the space. These figures, faceless and fleeting, hover in the air, as if they are lost souls searching for a way out. Many people have reported seeing these ghostly forms flicker through crumbling walls or appear in a window frame, only to vanish the moment they blink. Sometimes the glowing eyes of a figure can be seen from a distance, staring intently, then silently fading away, leaving an oppressive silence behind. On moonlit nights, when the faint light spills through the ancient walls, the castle transforms into another world, a place where the past and present collide, and the restless spirits continue to trap those daring enough to trespass upon their domain. It feels as if every wall, every hidden corner, is breathing, watching, and each gust of wind carries with it the whispers of forgotten ghosts. Blandy-Latour Castle is not just a historical site. It is a realm of nameless fears, where the boundary between life and death is completely erased. Do you have the courage to face these unexplainable phenomena? 19. Père Lachaise Cemetery, Wandering Souls and Unexplainable Mysteries. Nestled in the heart of Paris, Père Lachaise Cemetery is not only the final resting place of famous figures, such as Jim Morrison, Marcel Proust, and Oscar Wilde, but also one of France's most haunted locations. Established in 1804 under the directive of Emperor Napoleon, this vast cemetery spans over 110 acres, making it one of the largest cemeteries in the world and attracting millions of visitors every year. Yet, beyond its tranquil beauty and solemn history, Père Lachaise harbors secrets and ghostly tales that defy explanation. The cemetery is not only known for the prominent figures buried within it, but also for the strange occurrences linked to the spirits of the deceased. One of the most chilling stories is that of Baroness Elizabeth Stroganova. According to legend, the Baroness devised a peculiar challenge for anyone daring enough to face the fear of death. Participants were to spend an entire year in her tomb. Strangely, no one could complete the challenge. Every participant gave up in fear, and eventually no one dared to approach her tomb. Could it be that she entrusted a dark secret to this tomb, or is her spirit still haunting those who dare challenge fate? Père Lachaise Cemetery on foggy nights becomes an entirely different world. No longer a peaceful resting place, it transforms into a cold, desolate, and haunting space where the chill seeps through your fingertips, making you shiver uncontrollably. The winding paths of the cemetery by night resemble shadowy passages with no end, seemingly lost in an endless, impenetrable darkness. Each step you take in the silence only heightens the uneasy feeling, as though an invisible presence is watching your every move from behind. Dense fog curls around the tombstones, obscuring everything ahead, creating a haunting scene as if you've stepped into another realm. The air thickens, as if enveloped by the presence of souls that cannot move on. Faint and elusive spirits appear and vanish within the cemetery's nooks and crannies, leaving you uncertain whether what you're seeing is real or merely an illusion. But the strangest sensation is the feeling of being watched. Though you see nothing, there's an unshakable sense that invisible eyes are following you. Every step, every breath. Every time you turn around, you are met with nothing but the silence of the darkness. Yet the chilling air clings to you, as if the frostbitten souls are lurking, waiting to approach, observe, and claim this space as their own. Strange sounds begin to echo, not from afar, but from the tombstones surrounding you. The light tapping, as if someone is scraping their nails across cold stone, or the faint rustling, like tattered cloth moving in the wind. These sounds are unexplainable, yet they are enough to send a chill down your spine. And when you try to hurry, the sensation of being held back, like some invisible force is tugging at you, becomes even more apparent. The foggy nights in Père Lachaise are not only where you feel the cold grip of death, but also where restless souls continue to haunt, ever present, waiting for anyone daring enough to step into their domain. All these stories merge to create an oppressive, mysterious atmosphere, making Père Lachaise Cemetery one of the most haunting and eerie places in Paris, a place where wandering souls lie in wait, ready to confront those brave enough to face the afterlife. 20. Rue de Chantre, the haunted street and lost souls. Nestled near the Seine River, Rue de Chantre is a narrow street that harbors one of the darkest and most mysterious histories in Paris. Its proximity to Notre Dame Cathedral places it at the heart of Île-de-la-Cité, the oldest district of Paris, once home to monks, nobles, and great historical figures. However, instead of basking in the glory of the capital, Rue de Chantre is haunted by tragic tales and restless spirits who have never found peace. It is a place of haunted houses, where whispers from the past echo through the air, painting a grim picture of suffering and death. One of the most terrifying stories linked to Rue de Chantre dates back to 1910, when Paris was struck by a catastrophic flood that threw the city into chaos. Amidst the raging waters, children became trapped in the Hôtel Dieu Hospital, a renowned medical facility. These children, unable to escape, drowned in their own rooms as the floodwaters rose relentlessly. A heartbreaking tragedy, But perhaps more sinister is the fact that their souls were never allowed to rest. Within the darkness of the crumbling walls, these innocent children remain imprisoned, unable to cross the threshold of death. As night falls and Rue de Chantre is enveloped in darkness, the air grows thick and oppressive, as if time itself has come to a halt. The dark alleys, covered in moss and the musty scent of decay, seem to suffocate the street, making every odd sensation feel like reality. Visitors walking down this desolate path can feel the ominous atmosphere weighing on them, as if they've stumbled into another realm where only the dark past and troubled spirits exist. The eerie laughter of children echoes from somewhere in the stillness, sometimes followed by sudden cries, as if they are playing, but it's just the faint reverberations from the unseen realm. These sounds don't just come from the open air, but seem to emanate from within the very walls themselves, seeping through cracks in the ancient buildings. One can never be sure whether these noises are real, but one thing is certain: they unsettle the soul and send shivers down the spine. On foggy nights, when the space turns hazy, visitors often glimpse shadowy figures darting past like fleeting flashes, shape undefined, yet their eyes gleaming like two glowing jewels in the darkness. Those eyes, cold and lifeless, pass by unexpectedly, sending a chill through your body. These ghostly figures seem to hover, as though they are watching your every step along the deserted street. The coldness here is not the chill of winter, but the coldness of death itself, a bone-chilling sensation that creeps down your spine, as if an invisible hand is touching your skin, pulling you into the abyss. And when you turn around, the path behind you is empty, nothing but the biting cold and those bright eyes peering out from the shadows. The lost children, with their eerie laughter, cries, and fleeting forms, appear in strange ways. They are like souls trapped in an invisible realm, unable to move on, endlessly wandering the streets in search of something they will never find.